Welcome back. My name is Lucas Machuga, and I'm your host of MiamiRealEstate.tv. As you can see, today I'm here at Pagani Residences in North Bay Village. In a bit, I'm going to be heading inside to meet up with Director of Sales, Horacio Pagani. And when I do, I want you to pay close attention to the level of details and the quality of the finishes here at Pagani, because that's what really makes it stand out. And also everything that's happening in North Bay Village, because there's a lot of development with mixed use developments and retail that's going to be coming here. So let's head inside and meet up with Horacio. Well, Horacio, thank you for having me on this beautiful sunny day.
Thank you, Lucas, for coming. I'm actually super excited to have you here because we just recently opened up this beautiful waterfront sales gallery, as you can see. So welcome.
Thank you, thank you. And I was here last week, as you know, and there's a lot that I love about Pagani, and I wanted to share that with my audience, and that's why I'm back here today. So what do you have for me? Like, why don't you give us the rundown on this exciting project?
Sure. You know, first of all, the question is Pagani is the brand, right? Mm-hmm. So some of the people are familiar. Perhaps you're a car aficionado, perhaps you're a car collector, or you just simply love the cars and the speed, etc., etc. So Pagani is the #1 brand in the world in terms of the ultra-luxury hypercars. Horacio Pagani himself, originally Argentinian, ends up moving to Italy as a young car designer and ends up, you know, working with Lamborghini for some time, and then eventually, fast forward, opens up his own shop where we have now 25 years, almost 3 decades of the brand Pagani Automobili. Mm-hmm. It's the #1 global brand, so you can imagine. It's a great achievement.
So how did he, or when did he decide to do a development? And why Miami?
Right. So I have to be very careful how I phrase it because, you know, Horacio Pagani is an engineer and designer of the hypercars. He's not a developer. The collaboration with them is something that's really, really interesting. We actually feel very much honored because Horacio Pagani could have done this collaboration with the Pagani brand anywhere in the world. It could have been in Europe, it could have been somewhere in Dubai, but we actually feel that Miami is a perfect location for this beautiful waterfront building. The collaboration is interesting because we have the developers with this beautiful piece of land that's on the last buildable piece of island in Miami, which is North Bay Village. So the Pagani brand brings a very unique, exclusive touch to it from the engineering aspect, from the design aspect, and also it really ensures that the quality of the product will be at a very, very high level.
I love the location, and there's a lot to talk about the location because I feel, and I'm sure you agree with me, that North Bay Village, it's probably one of the hottest neighborhoods in all of South Florida as far as development goes. And there's a lot that, and we'll go over that later, but not only the development on the island and everything that's happening with the mixed use development that we'll go over later, but the views here that you get of the downtown skyline and obviously the water views. And in the past, I always felt like North Bay Village was kind of far, but it's really not. I got here in 20 minutes from downtown Miami.
Yeah, it's an interesting observation because, you know, first of all, when we look at the clients are looking at Miami, they want the waterfront. Yeah. Yes, you can be in the center of the city. Yes, you can be in that city vibe, you know, on Brickell Avenue, et cetera, but a very, very different client that wants the island lifestyle. So where do you go for the islands? So what you just said is very, very true. We had all of the islands, starting all the way from the south, Fisher Island, going all the way up to now, most recently, Bay Harbor Islands, where we have now 12, 14 developments. Essentially, North Bay Village is much closer. It's officially now called 15-minute neighborhood. Essentially, we're talking about 3 islands that consist you know, that actually make this city of North Bay Village. The waterfront properties, I think, are in a lot of demand. And when we look at the scarcity of land, we just simply don't have much of that capacity anymore. And when you end up having a development in today's day and age, when Miami is, you know, growing at such an exponential rate, if you also have the unobstructed water views and access to the water, it really is everything. Imagine the appreciation for that type of.
I agree, because back in the day, I kind of compared North Bay Village to like what the Venetian Islands was way back in the day, and I think that's where North Bay Village is headed. You know, it's kind of untapped when you think about all the upside that's going to be happening in the near term and in like the next 5 years. Primarily, there's single-family residences here, but that's going to change. You know, of course, with Pagani, that's going to be an exciting development that's going to completely change the
footprint
dynamics and the footprint of North Bay Village.
Yes. I like that you're thinking that way, because really I personally always like to refer to Venetian islands, and it's really that renaissance that happened. And we're not talking about 15, 20 years ago. You know, we don't have to look back 15, 20 years ago at Venetian islands. Even 5 years ago, you could purchase something between 3, 4, 5 million. And look at where these properties are trading today. We're talking about 20, 25, 30 million and north of 30 million.
I saw something traded in Palm Island for 40 million or something.
It's incredible.
Crazy.
So the reason why that happens, and it's kind of like for the viewers also to understand, yes, you can live in the city, but when you look at even the downtown and Brickell areas, it's such a large area to develop. And you can always add another couple of hundred towers in that area because they're pushing them west, because you have the city. But when you're on an island, there is scarcity of land. So essentially, the potential for appreciation is much more aggressive. Because once this city is built, once this island is built, this is where you can actually start to see all of these property values take off.
So what makes Pagani unique? Well, why don't we go over about the building itself?
Specifications,
composition, yeah.
So it's really, again, really beautiful moment is to have this collaboration with Pagani. Why Pagani? Because Pagani really is synonymous for everything that's ultimate sophistication, luxury, elegance, beauty, but at the same time, it is innovation, technology, functionality. So how do we infuse that same DNA from Pagani brand into this experience of the luxury real estate? You know, this is where it becomes really interesting. Besides the fact that Horacio Pagani is an engineer of the hypercars, there is another lifestyle extension of that brand, Pagani, which is called Pagani Arte. And this is where he dedicates his time to design these unique pieces of furniture. And by the way, we're sitting on one of these unique pieces. These pieces were only created, you know, for this particular space. We're here at the sales gallery. So if the client wants something that's really unique, it can be handcrafted by Pagani team.
So these are all custom pieces?
Every piece is custom made. When we look at the building itself, it is a boutique exclusive collection of residences, only 70 residences in total. We have 4 units per floor. Every unit, as you can see, is a corner unit. So you have these beautiful 270-degree balconies, which are up to 11 feet of that. By the way, when we step outside, I'm going to have the pleasure of taking you to a little tour, and you're going to be able to see the actual size of the balconies, and they also wrap around. Because every unit is 270 degrees. Every unit comes with en-suite private elevator. It takes you up to your unit, opens up in your unit. Every unit comes with 11-foot ceilings. So now you, as somebody that's a specialist in pre-construction, you can immediately say, oh, that's an ultra-luxury feature. Because typically 11-foot ceilings are lower penthouses. So we essentially have a curated collection of penthouses, to say it that way, in our standard residences. When we look at the floors at the top, we have a very special collection of only 4 sky residences. Those are essentially half the building, like this flow through. You can have a nice east to west flow through with the north exposure, or east to west flow through with the south exposure. Those are fully customizable, the sky residences. The clients can work directly with Horacio Pagani and design team at Pagani and essentially customize and design these interiors to a trophy property. You know, it doesn't exist anywhere else. And then at the very top, there are 2 penthouses only, so penthouse 1, penthouse 2. They're duplexes, completely flow through as well, essentially half of the floor. These are estimated over 12,000 square feet, penthouse 1, 5-bedroom, 2 stories. And then the other one is penthouse 2, 4-bedroom, over 10,000 square feet. These have 13-foot ceilings, so even higher, and also fully customizable by the Pagani team. Something that's really cool for the owners of these 2 penthouses that we can share with your audience is that those clients who purchase the 2 penthouses will have access to one of the only 2 Pagani Utopia Roadster cars, which are going to be special edition, limited to only these 2. Estimated retail value about $4 million just for the car.
And besides the cost, I mean, if you were to want to buy one of those cars, how long is the wait?
Yes, very good point. So you can't just walk into a Pagani shop, basically, right, and purchase a car. We're talking about 5 to 7 years of waiting list. And the whole philosophy of Pagani, this is what's really important to understand when we talk about the brand. their philosophy is very particular. They are extremely protective of their brand. This is the one living legend that we have, because you know, there's no Mr. Aston Martin, there is no Mr. Ferrari, but we do have Mr. Pagani, very much alive and very much contributing to the world of luxury cars, and also now into the world of the design of realistic craftsmanship, you know, perfection, and everything that you can see, that OCD type of attention to details of perfection, that same level of expectation is also going to be translated into this building.
But that's what a high-end buyer expects, and so that's what really makes this such a special project.
Correct, because the expectation is on us to deliver something that's going to be at the top level. We can't just put, I'm glad you mentioned it, because we can't just put any type of finishes in the kitchens, any type of flooring. It all has to be, you know, also looked into by Pagani team in Italy.
And how about the composition of the floor plans?
Essentially 4 units per floor, only 4 floor plans. And by the way, there is also a reason why we have 4, just to mention, that is also very much on brand, because the symbol of Pagani is the circle with the 4 circles inside. So when you look at that visually, it actually is the 4 corner units.
Kind of mimics the
This
shape
is
of the
why
building.
we have that.
Interesting.
The units are a mix of 2 to 4 bedrooms. Of course, we have also the 5 bedrooms, combined units, penthouses, but essentially 2 to 4. These are from about over 2,000 square feet to about 3,300 square feet without balconies. So very large residential units, beautiful floor plans. We do have a very strong team behind the building, of course, and when you know that it's a Luis Revuelta, who is one of the top architects, you immediately know that that's a synonymous to one of the best floor plans in town.
Definitely. And it's so important that your building has high ceilings, because when you do have those deep terraces, it sometimes makes the interior unit dark, but because you have high ceilings, you're not going to have that problem.
It's going to be absolutely incredible. Pretty much the feeling that you have here from this gallery when you look outside.
That's true.
Yes.
That's very true. And how about the amenities in the building?
So we're going to have absolutely everything that, you know, ultra luxury buildings offer. So if we go all the way here from the very bottom, we have 270 linear feet of water frontage. We have a marina, and then double height ceilings in the lobby. We have the garage from the 2nd through the 7th floor. This beautiful metal mesh that you see that's wrapped around the podium is actually Horacio Pagani's signature design. So Horacio Pagani is working together with Luis Revuelta, the architect, on the actual exterior design as well as the interior design by Pagani Arte. The floor 8 is the first level that you see right there above the garage, the entire level of amenities. Meditation gardens outside, one of the spaces inside Pagani Owner's Lounge, libraries, business centers, conference rooms, family rooms, movie screening theater, potentially one of those car simulators. You know, we are a car-branded building. 8 guest suites on this level only. So then you go all the way up at the rooftop. On the 30th story, what you see there, that 30th level, we have 360 degrees of unobstructed, beautiful views. Heated pool, hot and cold plunge, jacuzzi, hot tub, poolside cabanas, and also chef's grilling station for what we call al fresco dining experience. And that also at the very rooftop, something that's really unique. We're really elevating the wellness experience in this building. So we're not having the gym and the spa and these theme rooms in the kind of like a 7th floor, 5th floor in a corner. As you know, a lot of buildings do that. We're actually bringing it all the way to the rooftop level. So you're going to have this beautiful indoor-outdoor experience where the hammam, restorative lounge, steam room, saunas, private massage rooms, they have access to the balcony as well outside, and you have incredible views towards Atlantic Ocean from that terrace.
And I believe last week you mentioned that even the garage is going to be very unique.
The expectation of, the Pagani branded building, especially in the world of the car aficionados, car collectors, is pretty high. So the overall look and feel of the garage, it's not going to be like a regular garage in a regular building. It's a concrete box and you just park the car. It's actually going to be designed as a private car club. So that means the engineering of the details that we think about are so meticulous to that end user, right? So even the angle of the garage ramp, how you come up and in and out of the building, then once you're in, the selection of the paint and the flooring as well, the ceilings, the overall look and feel of the walls with display of art.
It's a showroom, basically.
It's going to be essentially a private car club where the clients are going to, the owners are going to feel comfortable and very much proud to even display their cars. Because, you know, we do have a clientele that are owners of Pagani cars and any other brands as well. The individual parkings, some of them which are coming with electrical charging stations directly on your actual parking space. And then, of course, special enclosed parking garages that are under AC, which are going to be, you know, the best solution to protect your car as well.
That reminds me, so you had mentioned earlier that the penthouses come with the special Pagani.
Yes, yes.
And that essentially will bump them to the front of the list, and rather than waiting the 5 to 7 years.
That's a very good point, you know, because it is a 5 to 7 year waiting list. So that actually is the intention. The intention is somebody that, you know, does recognize the value of living in the Pagani Residences, owning a special edition Pagani car. That would be a perfect client for something like this, because we would have, you know, faster introduction to the Pagani team.
And what are the prices of those penthouses?
The 5-bedroom is at 29 million.
Okay.
And then the 4-bedroom is at 25 million. Keep in mind that, you know, just the value of the car is about 4 million.
Wow. Incredible. And you had mentioned one's 12,000 square feet?
Yes, so a little over 12,000, and the other one is over 10,000 square feet. Correct.
Okay. And as far as service, I'm sure it's going to be a high service building.
Yes, I like to actually talk about it because, you know, if we just, even for a minute, put a pause on the brand and all this exclusivity and the design, which is really, really meticulous and curated. But let's just analyze the building, residential building, and the actual experience of how does it feel to live in this building. We're going to have a 5-star white glove concierge type of a management company, which is going to be fully bespoke. That's going to service these clients 24/7. We have several different menus of services. Some of the perks that I can just kind of, you know, mention here, included in your HOA fee. You're going to have a private beach club that's already confirmed for the Pagani residence, which is going to be right next to Surfside, that beautiful piece of beach, as you know. Then we're going to have a private yacht club membership as well. Included in your monthly payments. And one of the interesting perks is also the house car. Now, I always like to say it, I would love to have, you know, one of the black Paganis be a house car for this building, but unfortunately, you know, we can't do that. There's going to be another brand involved. We're talking potentially with Mercedes, because Mercedes has this collaboration with Pagani as the brand, and it's something that some people know, some people may not know, but in the Pagani cars, you know, everything is custom made and it's fully Pagani, but the motor is AMG Mercedes.
Interesting.
So with that collaboration in mind, we are kind of exploring that option. It's something that's interesting.
Now let's talk about North Bay Village itself.
Yes.
Earlier in the segment, I mentioned the mixed-use development. I mean, you know a lot more about it than I do. Can you tell the viewers at home a little bit more about that?
Yes, what's really exciting, you know, and it's really strategic thinking behind it. If you look at the Pagani as the car and the brand, there is innovation and there is always this vision for the future. So Horacio Pagani likes to produce something that's always going to appreciate in value. With that in mind, really kind of aligning with that philosophy also comes this particular location, because we are essentially on an island that's about to be fully transformed. We're talking about something that's really unique that doesn't happen in a lot of different pockets throughout Miami. Here, we don't only have the private funds and these developers building the beautiful buildings. We also have the city of North Bay Village coming together at the same time under what's called MBV 100 Master Redevelopment Plan. That is a huge differentiator. So now, not only that we're going to have these high-end buildings being built and the mixed-use developments and the shops and the retail, but we're talking about a complete transformation of an island, from the infrastructure, the causeways, the bike lanes, addition of the creation of the parks, open green spaces, marinas, walkability, just the AFA, for example, project, Argentinian Football Association on Treasure Island. It's going to be acres of land of a recreation, facilities. That is essentially the largest training facility, and the Argentinian Football Association, their teams are going to be able to come and train. But at the same time, it's really adding a lot of value to a neighborhood that's residential. Because people here that live with families, with kids, when you add tennis courts, soccer fields, paddle, pickleball courts, you have new elementary schools, a new community center, walkability, shops, parks.
Tons of activities.
It just really, really elevates the neighborhood.
And a great thing that I really like about North Bay Village that you mentioned last week is the boardwalk.
Yes, the boardwalk, and then we'll jump into the mall, which is really important. The boardwalk, if not the prettiest and the most important, project here by North Bay Village as the city. It really is about 2 miles long of the pedestrian area. So essentially, when you walk today at the south of 5th, and you walk around the waterfront there. That same feeling that you're going to have here as well, because the activation of the waterfront is going to be really interesting. Right here in front of Pagani, you can step outside, and in about 4 or 5 minutes of walking, jogging, you can get to the shops and restaurants of the new mall.
It's a lot quieter here, though. It's a lot calmer.
It's much calmer. That is true. It's also much calmer. By the way, one thing to mention, although you mentioned that we do have an open bay here, which is a big deal for those people who are into boating. You don't have any closed bridges. You can really own any size of boat, which is a big deal.
That's important.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Besides the island walk, the activation of the waterfront is also at that part of the island, at the Treasure Island, where we're going to have a mixed-use development, very important to energize this entire area, right, for the growth. It's essentially, if you imagine the Miami World Center, which is you actually reside in the residential part of it. So imagine that, but kind of on the water, right? So multiple towers, offices, shops, retail, restaurants, all of that creation of a life that you're bringing now, waterfront. It's going to be incredible, and we have a lot of information that we can share with the clients.
Right now, as it stands, I mean, the closest shopping is like Bell Harbor Shops or
that is our closest mall. Correct.
And now you're going to actually have shops and high-end retail here on North Bay Village.
And North Bay Village is its own city. That's also something that's really unique. We don't depend on the city of Miami. We do not depend on the city of Miami Beach. We don't have to wait for 150 projects to start. So it's a much more accelerated process for everything. And if you think of Pagani, Pagani is creme de la creme. It is the crown jewel of this entire area. So we are definitely feeling lucky, even with the support of the city and the commissioners and everybody, very much involved.
Do you know offhand how many square feet of retail that development's going to have?
I believe that it was in a million? I would have to double check, but it's really incredible. We're talking about multiple towers. One of the towers being luxury rentals, we're told, starting in a $15,000 per month. Another tower that's going to have a hotel component. We're told that they're speaking with different brands like the Four Seasons, and then I think what's really important is having that walkability as well, because that really is like the factor that's unique. We don't have malls on the water. If you look at Miami, it really
reminds me of like the Brickell Key feel. Brickell Key is quieter than being in Brickell, in the heart of it. You have that nice walkway, that boardwalk or jogging path,
and then you just walk over. You pass by the Cipriani and the other restaurants and the Brickell River. That same feeling you really essentially are going to have here. Just more quieter, right? You're not in that congestion of Brickell.
Quiet here. I feel it's very calm here. It's has that residential feel, without all the traffic.
And we're now in a global focus. Even Forbes magazine wrote a great article that all of the viewers can find online on North Bay Village, and they actually named it 15-minute neighborhood. So it truly is a 15-minute neighborhood. This is not an island that's also beautiful in itself. So you got to drive to it an hour. It's actually 15 minutes away from absolutely everything.
Nice. And I think one of the most important things that we keep repeating about Pagani is the craftsmanship and the quality of the finishes. And we're here in the showroom, so I'd like to show my audience the kitchen finishes and the bathroom finishes, if you don't mind.
Yes, I will. I'm excited to give you a tour of these beautiful kitchens and also the bathrooms, and you will see how everything aligns with the philosophy of the brand. Yes, perfect. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So what I really enjoy is the level of customization of Pagani. So I know last week we saw a lot of different features and options and combinations that buyers have. So why don't we cover that and take a look at the finishes?
Correct. With all of the customization of Pagani cars, we kind of want to translate that DNA into the experience here in the kitchens. And as you know, kitchen is the heart of the home. So it's very important to give the client the choice to customize it to their liking. So we have this beautiful stone that you see here, which is J'adore Emerald Stone, one of the options. It's beautiful. We also have this travertine. The clients can now touch, feel, and see here at the gallery. We have the Statuario Nero, the black marble from Italy. We also have this Statuario Bianco. So clients can come here and essentially pick and choose different types of finishes, 4 different types of the stones for the kitchens, several different types of the kitchen cabinetry, several different types of also flooring. So we do want to allow that customization to a certain level.
How many types of flooring do they have?
We're going to have probably about 3 options for the flooring, 4 options of the kitchen stones, and 3 different options of the cabinetry. Something that I want to mention to you is that because we are working in collaboration with Pagani and Horacio Pagani himself, we do then collaborate with the top brands in Italy. And this is something that's really good for the clients because we're going to have to ensure top quality in all of the finishes. So besides all of these stones, we also have a full functionality and customization in these kitchens. These are Schifini cucine that have over 100 years of history in Italy. Everything is customized. Everything is pushed to open. If you start kind of going through these cabinets and seeing everything, even the hinges, everything is Schifini. These beautiful cabinets are with a custom illumination inside, but also has this beautiful dim glass.
And that's the refrigerator?
Correct. This is everything is pushed to open, as you can see, very minimalistic. This is the top chef's package by Gagano. Even the interiors are fully stainless steel. You have LED spotlights. You have the sapphire diamond shelves for the glass. You also have the cast aluminum bins here. Everything is pushed to open. The signature part here, which is really cool, we've of course heard of induction cooktops.
Yes.
But Gagano has something very special, which is the full service induction cooktop. It means that instead of the individual burners, you actually have, let's say you put a pot here, as you move it, the heat also travels with it.
I've never seen that before.
It's really, that's a signature piece by Gagano. We have this pop-up downdraft as well, so a lot of illumination. It's an actual extractor that, as I like to say, that actually extracts, you know, not the big hood that comes from the ceiling. Yes, when you're using it, as you can see, beautiful. When you don't, it can also come easily down. Everything, even the microwaves here, everything is pushed to open. And then you have this beautiful, my favorite section here with all of the built-ins. So you have the espresso machine with the ceramic grinder with several different compartments for different types of milks. You have essentially almost at the commercial level, the oven, which has 5 protective panels of glass. You have cast aluminum door that completely prevents the heat from projecting outside. All of these appliances come with an application. You can customize them up to 44 languages. This machine can memorize your favorite coffee. If you drink it like myself, you know, the coffee the same way every morning, you can actually have it memorized as well. And then this here is not the wine cellar and it's not the wine cooler. It is the wine climate control cabinet. So it has different zones with different temperatures. If you're the big wine lover, you can have your red wine here under one temperature. You could have your white wine, for example, here, and then your bubbles and champagne on another shelf as well.
That's unique.
So that'll be about the kitchens. Now, the flooring is Listone Giordano. It is the #1 brand in Italy that produces wood floors. So they have a particular technology how they actually apply the wood, etc., etc. So this is Mont Blanc plank wood that we see here. Let's take a look at the bathroom.
Great, let's do it.
So the master bath, as you can see, fully finished in travertine stone, everything. From the polished travertine that you see here, through this porous fluted travertine that also travels all the way floor to ceiling. You have this beautiful piece, which is Schifini as well, fully custom. So you have the sinks done in stone, and then you also have here this cabinet. You see how heavy is that? Because it's actually done in stone. You have the top brand for the faucets, which is Jessie, the faucets that you see there, and then you also have here the central shower, the rain shower above. You're going to have the central drainage here as well. And then here,
this is
the bench as well. Yes, the bench as well. And then you have the north bathtub. All of these brands are top of the line Italian. In the actual residence, we don't have this piece of wall. This is just structurally here at the sales gallery, but it's actually going to be a complete floor to ceiling glass. So you're going to be essentially from your bathtub floating above the water, facing the water either west or east.
I don't see an inch of drywall here. It's
Yeah,
all
everything
stuff.
is in travertine. And the doors are custom doors, frameless, full solid wood with the the handles, brand Olivari, which is over 50 years of history. Something that's really cool, and this is where we have the Pagani, Horacio Pagani's attention to detail, is the magnetic latch system on the doors.
Yes, you pointed that out last week.
Yes, really cool. It's a lot of detail.
So before we leave, I believe you mentioned that you wanted to show me the outside. Because it kind of shows you the size.
Yes, I want to show you the size of the
terraces.
balconies and also the beautiful views that we have, because you're standing essentially where we're building the Pagani Residences.
Let's do it.
Let's take a look.
So is this the actual size of the balcony?
Yes, essentially up to here, it's about 2 feet less. So these are up to 11 feet of that. Everything you see here, essentially, I mean, look at this space. And it also wraps around. So that's what's really amazing. Then you have these beautiful, beautiful views, forever unobstructed.
Yeah.
Look how quiet it is here.
And not a lot of wind. Surprisingly, not a lot of wind.
It's incredible. And the access here to water is something that's really priceless. That client that may be into boating, that client that maybe wants to have access to a marina, it's a big amenity also to have here.
And look at that view of the downtown skyline from the first floor. Imagine up, on the 15th floor.
Exactly.
It's a great view. I mean, this kind of gives you an idea of what the view will be like from Pagani Residences.
It's incredible. And right here, remember that we talked about the beautiful pedestrian area? It's actually going to continue through here. So you'll be able to just come down from your building, be picked up here in a yacht, in a boat. You can also walk around, jog, bike it, and get to the next island where you have the shops and the restaurants. But you're not in it, which is really important.
Great. Well, I'm sure a lot of my viewers at home are interested. And so if there's a buyer out there that is interested in purchasing a unit here, what's the process?
So essentially, we're now in contracts, which is really, really good at the very beginning. So for those clients who want to get in, you want to get in now because we have the best pricing. As you know, it is pre-construction. The longer that we go through the process of the project, we also escalate pricing. We're at 20% of deposits right now, so the client can sign the contract, put the 20% and secure their unit immediately at today's price. Then we have the next 20% next year, between 10 and 10 broken down. And then the following year, 2027, the final 10% with the delivery first quarter of 2028.
First quarter 2028.
3 years, boutique building, fast timeline.
I'm glad you mentioned boutique. And that's another thing that we were discussing off camera is like, I come from a building, I own in a building that's over 500 units. And there's days where I'm like, why do I live in such a massive building?
Yes.
And I feel like there's a huge trend right now to boutique buildings.
Yes.
Because I think people are frustrated with living in these massive buildings where it takes forever with the elevators, it takes forever to get in and out of the building. But here, 70 residences, and out of those 70 units, probably like 50% of them are going to be occupied.
Not even here.
Yes.
Yes. So you're looking at about probably 20, 25 people at a time in this building. So truly is the closest feeling to you living in a single family home where you have access to all of the amenities at any point, which are for you. So you don't have to kind of fight people in the elevator, in the hallway, at the parking, which is what you were sharing. Something also besides this beautiful exclusivity and the privacy of a lifestyle, what's also interesting for people to note is the value appreciation. Because when you analyze all of the properties where you end up investing, imagine how you're competing against the whole line of 100 residences in a massive building, in a tower that's a 50, 60 stories, versus in a building that only has about 15 units in each line. And when you take now, even like hyper-focus now on Pagani Residences, with all of the customization, what is the probability that your unit will be exactly identical to another unit in that same line?
That's a great point.
So you really, really have a lot of potential for appreciation in this particular building.
Well, thank you, Goritza, for your time. I'm sure my viewers at home will really appreciate everything that we discussed. And yeah, so hopefully we can get some sales done.
Yes, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If there is any question, of course, please do reach out to Lucas.
Great. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Well, there you have it, folks. Now you know why I love Pagani Residences. It's not only the attention to detail and the quality of the finishes, but it's also because it's a boutique building with a high level of personal customization that you don't find anywhere else. On top of that, you have the A+ location where you're only 15 minutes from downtown, probably about 25, 30 minutes from Fort Lauderdale, and 15 minutes away from South Beach. So there's a lot to offer, not only in those close by, nearby locations, but also because of the transformative developments that are happening here in North Bay Village, which will make it tremendously more walkable as well. So if you want to learn more, contact me, Lucas Lechuga, at lucas@miamicondoinvestments.com. But before you go, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment down below.